Hey folks, okay, we're a bit more with it today, and with that we are going to work on the building UI. Now, what do we mean by the building UI? Okay, well, what I mean by the building UI is when you click on a building and it brings up the UI. So, let me just demonstrate what happens at the moment. Basically, we get selecting recipes plus we get what it's currently doing, which is all well and good, but having thought about it, that's actually not what we need to do, because there's actually two types of building, one with recipes and one that is purely a miner. So a miner doesn't have a recipe per se, a miner actually has something else. So with that in mind, what we need to do is this text block is going to have to actually be we're going to have to make it title A, okay? And this is going to have to be a variable, and it's going to have to be text value A. And this is going to have to be text title B and a variable, because these are going to have to change, right? Because basically what's going to happen here is if we select a miner, then the actual columns are going to be different, because this is going to be per cycle, which is going to be correct, but it's not going to have a recipe, so it's not going to have recipe inputs and outputs. So in actual fact, probably the best way to do this is to make this into if I copy that, right, and then what we'll do is we'll go into the UI. Okay, now we need, where shall we put this? Right, okay, we'll put it in here to start with. Once it doesn't, we might think of a better place to put it, which makes a bit more sense. So we'll call that mining details. And then we shall duplicate that. And we shall call this recipe details. Okay, so in here we're going to paste. Which is good. And in the graph here, we're going to have a variable called building, and it's going to be base building, and this is going to be text value b and a variable. In fact, that might not be the case now, because of this. Right, okay, what we'll do is we'll copy that, we shall delete that and paste that. Okay, we shall save that. Okay, and then in our product details, what we shall do in our building details is we're going to get this vertical box, we're going to turn it into a variable so we can access it. Call it VB underscore recipe mining info. Okay, and we are going to delete these two things. Okay, then we are going to go back to our graph now. This is where we're adding our so what are we doing first? We're creating our select recipe and adding it to the uniform grid. Okay, now that's cool. But let's, in the first instance here, let's move these down one. And what we're going to do is, in actual fact, we're going to get the building type, and with the building type we're going to have to do a switch. Okay. So all of this stuff here is going to move down a bit. This is going to move down to here a bit. We're going to come in here and we're going to add a reroute node. So if it's a refiner, a smelter, or a fabricator, it's going to come in here. Now that's going to be okay, I think, because we can't change the recipe if it doesn't have a recipe, so it can't fire that, so then it has to come in here anyway. So that is in fact absolutely fine. So what we could do is come in here. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is create the minor one. Now, to create the minor one, what we can do in the short term is we can create widget, and then this is going to be mining details. Okay. And in mining details, did we pass in? We have the building, okay, but we need to make it instance editable and expose on spawn. So if we do that, then we can pass the miner in and get its values. So we can do that in here. So we don't need the construct, we don't need the tick. So on event construct, we pull out the building, and we know it's a miner, so it's going to be cast to miner. And basically, if we get the miner details now, so this is going to be cycle, get mine per cycle, and we are also going to get another couple of things, but in the meantime what we can do is, if we actually go to the miner itself, we can quickly have a look to see what variables it has. Mining speed, there we go. We have ore type, mining cycle speed. So all we need to do is get all of these values, get mining speed, okay, and we can get the mineral amount, and mineral mined amount, and so we've got mine per cycle, mine speed, mineral amount, mineral mined amount. And I think we also have an in storage, but I don't think we actually need to show that per se. I mean, it's an option, but we'll leave it for now. So we have our text title A, which in actual fact, doesn't need to be a variable, and the title B doesn't need to be a variable, because these are basically now tied to the minor details. Okay, so it's only these two values here. So we'll call this PPC, products per cycle. And we'll make this, we'll just call this cycle speed. Right, and the other things we have is the mineral amount would probably be a good one. So if we duplicate that, we can let's, well, if we can spell it right, that is mineral amount. Okay, and we shall change this to min amount. In fact, we shall keep it in, so this is going to be a title, see, and this is going to be mineral actually it's going to be mineral available. And we can then call this mineral available. Okay, so now we have got a mined amount available, but the actual amount that's mined so far, but we're not going to worry too much about that. So we're going to get the cycle speed, and then set text. Okay. Then we're going to copy and paste this a couple of times. That'll be that. So we've got this one, which is actually going to be per cycle. Then we are going to have mineral available. That's going to go in here. Then we're going to join these up. Okay, and then this is going to pop in here. We might do an append on this. but in the meantime, so we shall start by tidying this up a little bit. And we shall add a reroute node. This is going to be the text cycle speed, mining speed. As I said, we may change this user friendly as far as the text goes, but in the meantime we'll just get this down as some sort of value to make sure everything's working as we expect, and then the mineral amount available, it's going to be in there. That goes in there. We can remove that. Then we can move this along a bit. Move that. Then move this a bit. Move this back a bit. And that should be us. If we save that, we should be good. And now, in the button details, we create this and then we get our mining info. And we add child to vertical box. And the child will be you have to refresh the node, and the building is going to go in here, and that should be us in the first instance. Okay, so we need to get a mine. So our little rover has to find a mine first, which it's promptly done for us. Okay, so now our mining constructor has got our mine, and once all these disappear, we are in business. And there we go. Awesome. Now the question of course is, what is the ore? So we need to stop this for a moment and We know it's a minor. So we need to pull off here again, or so we need to get the ore type. Now the interesting thing was, we'll go back here, okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that, and this is going to be titled D. Then this is going to be ore type. Then we're going to move this up to here. Okay. And we're going to say ore type, and I'm going to save that, put that there, and it's going to be to string. We want the user friendly name, and we're going to pull this out. We're going to get that, then we're going to do that, and target's going to be that, and the input's going to be that. Okay. So now when we do the same thing, we should be able to see the ore type as well. Now we also know the first part of this was, I think, okay. So we need to replace that. But otherwise, right, so we've now got a mine, so let's see what happens. We're going to have to wait on it a second, of course. Ore type, copper rich ore. Lovely. Okay. So that part's good. Now what we want to do here is we want to have a look at our building details. Okay, now this text box here, text building type, will have to be filled in, plus the UGP current recipe. Right, so I'm just wondering if I was to put that in there, what would happen? This might work perfectly first time, or it might not work at all. We'll soon find out. But we should be in good shape either way, because we can just take it out. I mean, we can copy the code either way and just put it, or call it as a function or something. Come on, find me a mine, little rover. Apparently it doesn't want to find a mine for us, but we shall keep going either way and see where we get to. Okay, so that's going to definitely find that, which it has. And off we go. Here comes our builder. Okay. And now for the moment of truth. Yeah, it's kinda as I expected, to be honest. Okay. Okay, that's fine. We shall take... Well, we're going to have to stop this, right? So, our return value so what we can do in the mining details is actually have this set, so we can actually say ore type, so this is an E item, Okay. So you can save that. Now this, it doesn't have a recipe, okay? But what we're going to do is basically the same thing here. So in here, the building type, so we're going to get that, and we are basically going to set text. Set text. Okay. And it's going to be our building type. And it's going to be two string, friendly name. That's going to go in there. Okay. Now, for items, right, we're going to have to check this out. This is going to be under recipes. We'll close this down. Going to head for recipes. So we have items, copper rich ore, and we're going to be looking for DT items. So what we need to do here is do a search in DT items. Okay. So that's data table. Get data table row. And from this, we're going to say ore type. Then we're going to say two string. Then we're going to replace a space to nothing, and that's going to do what we want it to do. And then what we're going to do is see, that's a recipe widget. So let's have a look at this. Okay, okay. We might need a mining widget for this. I'm just wondering if this actually has, at this point, if it has a recipe. I mean, I don't think it should have. Right? But we'll do a print string anyway and find it. I may have stealthily made it be able to do this without actually we shall break this. We shall save that. And that's going to be DT items anyway. So we run that and we shall check to see what this actually says. And we shall actually add a breakpoint there, because I want to see what it actually says, believe it or not. Come on, little rover, find me a mine. So here we go. Can't find the mine. Not our best rover. Not our best rover ever, that's for sure. Okay, so it's silly for me to do this, right? So what we'll do is we'll actually sort out this issue. And we can do that quite easily. By duplicating. And as you see, we immediately found a mine. Okay, so what do we have here? We have bauxite. Right, so that's actually fine. So what we can do is stop that, right? We've done this part. We don't actually need to do this part. Okay, so we can do this. And what we can do here is we can collapse to a function call it recipe see add current recipe to uniform grid panel. Okay, so that makes life a lot easier, and then all we need to do is duplicate that and pop it up here. Save that, and for this we need to move it a little bit away, so we can go with that. And that should give us our correct mining one. And also, if I do that and I do that, it should give us our correct refining one as well. Although obviously we're going to have to do the recipe thing for that, but okay, so it's sane miner, which we expected. Right, so we can add a breakpoint there, and we can click on this. Okay, so we're in here, so we can step into then step over, step over, step over, and we have our miner, and our current recipe is bauxite. Okay, well that's interesting. Now it appears appears we have a recipe. But it does not appear we have a product out. Okay. Okay. So what I want to do here is I want to check that this one still works. If this one still works, we're kind of happy. Right, so that's all good. Right. And this one, while it's not giving us our thing here, do we care? Probably not. So what we'll do is we will not do this, okay? But when we create our mining details, we have the ore type, right? We can go in here and go to the designer, and then in the vertical box we can add an image, okay, and then the image, we'll just call it we'll call it IMG ore. So we're getting the ore type, and we can now do our get. Let's have a look what was in building details. Right, we create that. What we can do is we can copy that, and then if we go back to our mining details, what we can do is we can get data table row. This is from DT items, and then what we do is we to string, and we replace the space with nothing. Then that goes into row name, then out of here we break we don't do that. We break the structure, and then we paste, and we don't do that. But we do that, then the image is going to go in there. Row found is going to go in there. Okay. And let's try that. In fact, just to be a little bit more, if we go to building details, we go to the event graph, we can go to here, and remove. Okay. Play that. Okay. Let's see how this goes for us. No. No. Okay, we can close that. We can go back to select main details, and we can basically check this here. Right. So that's copper rich ore. It did find it. We should have an image. Okay. DT items. So in DT items, and DT items, we don't have it. Brilliant. Okay, so that's why it didn't work. Okay. So we basically need a it was of course the one thing we didn't have. We can see bauxite in there. and check it again. And we shall see how this actually goes. After this we shall find a image, so and there we go. Now it isn't going to size, so this image when we look at select recipe, we have this image, it says full. It's auto, it's not testable, okay. Press play on that. Right, looks like we've got a few images that we could possibly use here. There we go. So that's all working nicely, so we can disable that. Okay. Okay, so we're just trying to get a nice image here of copper. Okay, so I'm going to have to do a bit of, well, Photoshop, except I don't use Photoshop, I use something else. So we're going to do that offline and we shall be back later on. So if you joined, thanks for joining, and I hope to see you later. And we shall see you soon.